Hey guys, welcome to the October 4th edition of the Greasy Greg Sports Podcast. I'm your host Chase, and we're going to just jump right into this. One thing I really wanted to talk about that's been going on throughout the week is the whole, me being a Vikings fan and whatnot. This whole Kirk Cousins and Adam Thielen slash Stephon Diggs drama that's going on. And it's really interesting because the last few years, the Vikings have had the best wide receiver duo, arguably, in the entire league. And one thing that separates, Thielen and Diggs from the other duos in the league and just any wide receivers in general is the fact that they don't cause drama. And that's what's been really nice. Thielen's a homegrown boy, and, Diggs, he was that late round draft pick that had that chip on his shoulder, and they were always for each other. They were always for the team. And I'm not saying that's any different coming into this week, but there has been some speculation about Diggs wanting a trade with the recent struggles because it seems like they're losing faith in Kirk Cousins, and that's understandably so because, I mean, we're only, 4 weeks into the season now, and this is already starting to become an issue. And that obviously, that makes me a little bit nervous, but, like I said, it's a long season. Football can go, any way, any week. And one thing that really does bother me about this is when Cousins came here, you looked at his numbers and you thought, you know what, you give him the right team around him, he can really produce, perform, and take your team to that next level. But he really seems to have this thing with trying to create his own brand. Like, if you follow the team like I do, he literally has his own podcast with the team. And guys like Case Keenum, they never had that. Guys like Teddy Bridgewater, they never had that. They never had to promote themselves. They just went out there, they won games, and they got the job done. But this guy takes all this money from the Vikings, and he just has to go out there and promote himself and create a brand. And that kind of bothers me because I don't want you going out there and working on your apologies. I want you to go out there and work on being a better football player. Like, it's just, I don't get it. Like, why do you have to go out there and say stuff? Just go back to practice, get your head in the playbook, and, make the right decisions. Like, obviously, I'm not a professional athlete. I don't know what's going on in his head, but just from my perspective, it is honestly doesn't look like it's the right thing to do. But, Diggs obviously called him out after that last game, called him out because he obviously Cousin missed that big 3rd and 10 where he was wide open. He created separation, and that's a throw that a professional quarterback, especially making that kind of money, has to make. And obviously Thielen had an issue with that, and we have no issues with Thielen wanting to go anywhere, anything like that. But it was interesting because Diggs held out a practice on Wednesday, I believe it was, for a non-football reason, and then he came back to practice yesterday, and he was asked by the media afterwards, obviously about all these trade speculations going on, and he never said I want to be here, but he also never said I requested a trade. But that gray area that he was talking about was there's truth to all rumors, right from his mouth himself, and that clearly means he's upset and he wants something to be changed or this whole thing's going to fall apart. We'll see what happens. We are playing a struggling Giants defense. They are 30th in the league in pass defense, and I'm going to expect them to try to get their playmakers the ball this game. Even if they can run all over the Giants, they got to keep these guys happy. Those are just like the absolute foundation of our offense and our team. That's what we're known for. We got to make that clear. We got to keep them happy. But yeah, like I said, we're playing the Giants this week. It's on the road, but honestly, when it comes to the Vikings, teams that they should beat, for the most part, within recent history, they've been able to handle them pretty well. Besides that Bills game last year, which was a complete anomaly. But I think they're going to come out here. They're going to go into New York and they're going to absolutely whoop up on the Giants. Like, I think they have to. And if I'm wrong, like I can be sometimes, then I think you really start to see every all this drama kind of start to escalate around the team more. But honestly, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Vikings are going to go on the road, beat the Giants, and they're going to scare the absolute shit out of Danny Dimes with that defense. I don't think he's going to survive. But last night we had a really good game. We had the Rams and the Seahawks. Rams went into Seattle. Seattle broke out those like highlighter green uniforms, which they're kind of cool, but they kind of hurt your eyes a little bit on the TV. But I mean, the Rams they've been having issues, and Todd Gurley is just not the same. And they drafted God, who's that? They drafted some rookie and to take away carries from Gurley, and Gurley has just not been getting the touches he needs. He only has 64 carries through 4 games, which for a guy who is a high volume back like him, that's quite a dip for someone who can carry a team like that.
I mean, it almost seems like Rams are gaining issues as the weeks go on. I mean, Greg the Leg Zerline has never been a problem ever, and to miss a game winner like he did last night, that was almost a gimme.
It's just like, and that's the thing with the kicking is it's like no matter how good they are, they can just the slightest change can absolutely throw them off. Like, remember Blair Walsh? He came in, broke the record for most 50-yard field goals within a player's first 2 years or something like that, and then he just lost confidence and he just never got back to it. I mean, Dan Carlson goes into Lambeau, misses 3 field goals, goes to the Raiders. He's one of the more consistent kickers in the league. It was really nice to see him miss one against the Vikings, though. That made me feel a little bit better. But anyway, yeah, Gurley's been losing his carries, and that Rams offense is not the same. Jared Goff, he's putting up the numbers, but I'm at the point where I was kind of up in the air about how, is Jared Goff really a great quarterback or is he a product of the Sean McVay system? And I really think he's a product of that Sean McVay system. And they he made he put up the numbers, they made plays, but I mean, you go into Russell's house, he's going to put up 4 touchdowns on you, and he's going to take care of the game. The Seahawks did what they needed to do. Carson had a great game running the ball. He had 118 yards. He had that bobbled reception in the end zone with about 2 minutes left in the game. And like I said, they just did what they needed to do. And Seattle came out with a win. The NFC West is going to be really fun. Seahawks are 4-1 right now. And then we got the 3-0 Niners coming up sometime later in the week. And then the Rams have fallen to 3-2. They started 3-0, they dropped one against the Bucks, that absolute just shootout. And then they go on the road, they lose to Seattle in a really tough divisional game on Thursday night. That's a lot to ask out of a team. Next up, we got Jaguars Panthers. Minshew magic is in full effect. The Jaguars are going to start selling Minshew mustaches at their games now. They're just buying into everything, and I am not against it. I absolutely love it. They see an energy from this guy, and they are rolling with it to get that fan base energized. And Panthers still kind of in that weird thing with Kyle Allen and Cam Newton. When's Cam going to be back? Is he going to be the same Cam that we saw a year or two ago? Who knows? Panthers are at home in this one. Man, this is just one of those toss up games for me because there's just so much going on around both teams. But I think with, that momentum that the Jaguars have, that energy they have within the team and the fan base, I think Jacksonville can actually go in there and beat Carolina. A very tough team, but I just think there's too many questions with that Kyle Allen and that Cam Newton situation. McCaffrey is leading the league in rushing yards right now. He's ahead of Dalvin Cook by 1 yard, but damn, that dude has been just beyond impressive to me. So, but either way, I'm taking the Jaguars in this one. I think they can pull it off. Minshew mania continues. Next up, we have Pats and Redskins, an undefeated team against an 0-4 team. I mean, I don't think I really have to go too in depth with this one. I think the Patriots are going to go in there and whoop up on the Redskins. They're starting Colt McCoy this week. That just came out this morning. Questionable decision, in my opinion. Obviously, you've lost all your games, and Case lost that last one, that last Thursday night game, but Haskins isn't ready. McCoy has proven he's just a backup. Why just stick with your bridge guy? Stick with Case. Sure, he's gonna turn the ball over every now and then, but he's doing that because he's trying to make plays. He doesn't have the team around him. The reason why he didn't have numbers that were this bad in Minnesota is because he had that team around him, and he just goes out there and he tries to make that play. But you know what? They're going to roll with Colt McCoy. They're going to get absolutely steamrolled at home in front of their fans with their really shitty owner. And that's the life of the Redskins. Patriots are going to win that one very easily. Bills Titans. I've been so wrong on these Titans, but they're 2-2. They're still inconsistent. I said they were going to lose in Atlanta. They go in there, they whoop up on them. They're at home this week against the Bills. The Bills are going to be missing Josh Allen, and I think he's what drives that team. Well, that offense at least. That defense has been handling its business. But I think that Titans team at home, especially that defense run by Mike Vrabel, I think the Titans are going to be able to pull this one off. I am a Titans believer this week, and you can hold me to that. Then we got Ravens Steelers. Steelers also, they absolutely dumbfounded me with that Monday night win against the Bengals because if you look back, I believe it was the first episode I said that they were going to I thought they were going to lose against Cincinnati. I said Andy Dalton's going to make the plays he needs to and the Bengals are going to come out with it. I felt like they were the better team. I was wrong. Steelers got it done. They won 27-3 and now they kind of got me doubting my judgment on them, but I just don't think they can hang with the Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson's too dangerous. I think that Ravens defense is too good. But I mean, you know what? We'll see what happens. It's a divisional game. Things kind of change a little bit then, but I'm still going to go with the Ravens for my pick for that game this week. We got Cardinals against the 0-4 Bengals. Neither team has won a game. I would anticipate that someone's going to win this game. Um, I mean, I don't even know. Andy Dalton is Kirk Cousins with a shitty agent. I keep seeing that go around, and honestly, I couldn't agree with it more. He's inconsistent. He'll have that game where he wows you, puts up those numbers, but I mean, can you trust him? They're 0-4 throughout the quarter point in the season, and but I just don't know if I trust that Cliff Kingsbury Kyler Murray combination. Kyler's got such a high ceiling. It's just a matter of whether or not Kingsbury can kind of put together that game plan and build that team like he needs to build around his quarterback. But you know what? Cardinals have been in a close game. They came back against a very tough team in Detroit. I think they can go into Cincinnati and they're going to play through the adversity and get that win. Then we got the Falcons and the Texans. Got the 1-3 Falcons going into Houston, who are 2-2. I'm going to pick the Texans in this one. Deshaun Jock Deshaun Watson has been absolutely running around, for his life. But that Falcons team is too inconsistent. That defense has not been stepping up with all their healthy players like everyone thought they would. They're not the team who we thought they were, and I think the Texans are gonna gut one out here. I mean, I believe in Deshaun Watson too much at home, especially like he's gonna get it done. That guy is something else. Next up, Bucks and Saints. This division is pretty much up for grabs at this point with all these just crazy storylines going on. The Bucks, they play a game where they just put up 55 on the Rams and they won. That's the crazy thing. Like they beat a team that was clearly better than them. Like I couldn't like I got a soft spot for the Bucks, but I could not imagine being like actually in that fan base, a diehard Bucks fan, and just dealing with the roller coaster that team has been for ever since John Gruden left. Obviously, they've been consistently pretty bad, but the amount of promise that they show, Shaq Barrett, he's on pace to win Defensive Player of the Year. This dude comes out of nowhere. He's been bouncing around. He wasn't a high draft pick. I don't even know if he was drafted, to be completely honest with you, but he has just been putting on an absolute show. Leading the league with 9 sacks. He's got a pick, and I believe he's got 3 or 4 forced fumbles. And I mean, Those forced fumbles are a game changer. Ndamukong Suh ran one of those back late in the Rams game to steal that victory. Like those are absolute game changing plays, and that's all he's been doing is making those. And I mean, I know it's only 4 games, but the fact he's been able to do it very consistently throughout these 4 games, I got a pretty positive outlook on these Bucks. And against a Saints team that has what I would say would be pretty much everything is together except that quarterback situation. That's that's gonna be a real interesting game, but I'm gonna pick the Saints at home as bullish as I'm feeling on these Bucks. What can you do about the Saints in the dome, man? That's another kind of home field advantage. Like I'm putting my faith in the Saints in this game. Next up, we got the Vikings Giants. Like I said, Vikings, they're going to go to New York. They're going to whoop up on this team. They should. They are the better team. They got to get it together. Kirk has got to just not lose the ball every time he gets hit. He has to pull the trigger. He just he's just missing so many opportunities on these plays. You look back at the film and he's just holding the ball too long. He could get rid of the ball so many other times and he just decides to hold on to it and the play just absolutely falls apart. But either way, I'm taking the Vikings. They are the better team. They should win this. It's those toss-up games that I don't trust them. Bears Raiders, Vikings last 2 opponents actually. Bears are going into Oakland. I really don't care. I think they're gonna go in there. They're gonna get that win.
I kind of feel like that's a countdown.
Is it a countdown?
I mean, we don't have anyone here, so I guess we can just say if it is. But I mean, do you not feel like that's a countdown game? I mean,
I don't think it really is because it's not like a Patriots going to Miami kind of game. Like the Raiders could still somehow pull something off. You never know.
right. But after watching what the Bears have done so far this season defensively, especially against Minnesota, I mean, granted a struggling Minnesota, but can we finally? I feel like no one in the NFC North wants to say it, but can we finally say the Bears are the real deal now?
They are the real deal, and the thing is, I've never denied that that defense is the real deal. They proved that very early on last year. That Khalil Mack addition just added that extra, just like he's not even just that great pass rusher. He is that generational type of talent, complete game changer. You throw that on a defense that has the depth that they do, and the playmakers that they do on the back end, and the young talent that they have in the linebacking core, it makes it so hard to do anything against them. And even without Vic Fangio, who's now the head coach of the Broncos, like I thought they were going to fall off a little bit. I knew that their players were going to play, but I mean that scheme, they still shut down whoever they want. They like obviously when they saw the Vikings, they're like, okay, the second you stop this running game and you don't allow Kirk Cousins to be comfortable, it's easy. And they made it look like they're playing an FCS team right out there. Like it was really pathetic. But that Bears defense is something else. Still don't trust Trubisky. Chase Daniel is he played just fine against a really good defense. And I'm gonna be honest, like I think if Trubisky played that whole game, and I think a lot of people that aren't Bears fans probably feel the same way, but if Trubisky plays that game, that I mean, the Vikings might be able to squeak one out. Trubisky might make a stupid throw. He might hold on to the ball too long like he does. He likes to run around, make plays, wait for guys to get open. I think they would have been able to contain him, but then the second a completely different quarterback comes in, a veteran who knows how to. I mean, Chase Daniel has never been anything special for the most part since he's been in the league, but he's a veteran. He's a solid backup. He knows the offense, and he takes coaching really well. And he just played to the scheme and it worked. Trubisky is very much an improviser. He'll let the play break down and he'll make the play himself. And the way he does it, I didn't really trust him, but the second I saw Chase Daniel come in, I'm gonna be honest, I said, "Fuck." Zimmer prepares for one thing. The second something changes, it's over. He's not he's a good head coach, but he just doesn't know how to prepare a team at this point. And I've been a big Zimmer guy, but honestly, just the defense only gives up 16 points to a backup quarterback. But the way that the Vikings start out so slow, it makes me think they're not prepared throughout the week. And I want to see that change. I believe it will change. I'm putting my faith in Zimmer. But I mean, back to this game. Bears are going to go in. They're going to make Derek Carr stress out. If he had a hard time against the Vikings, he's going to have a very hard time against that Bears defense. Next, we got 0-3 Jets at the 2-2 Eagles. I'm just going to take the Eagles on this one. I'm pretty sure Luke Falk is going to be playing. And no, Luke Falk got hurt. Who's even playing for the Jets? Now this is something I got to look up. But I mean, ever since Sam Darnold got mono, like that whole Jets situation has just fallen off the earth. No one cares, and Le'Veon Bell can't really do anything because he doesn't have that young quarterback to help him make those plays. Nope, it is Luke Falk. It was Trevor Siemian that got hurt. That's correct. He had an ankle issue in that first game uh, after Darnold got hurt. So they got Falk coming in. Eagles have, I mean, they don't necessarily get to the quarterback too much, but they create a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks like that, and that can make just as big of a difference in a game as actually getting to the quarterback can. And I think the Eagles are going to win this one at home. Broncos at Chargers. I'm just going to take the Chargers on this one. I have had no idea what the Broncos have been doing over the last couple of years. Ever since Peyton Manning left, it seems like John Elway has been just completely inebriated this whole time. I don't know what he's doing. He just takes the tallest quarterbacks he can find and trusts that that's going to turn his team around. I mean, tough divisional game in LA. Granted, not a big home field advantage, but I'm taking the Chargers in that one. Next up, Packers and Cowboys. I'm looking forward to this one. Cowboys played their first real team last week without their starting quarterback, and they lost what, a 12-10 game, I believe. And it's just like I said on last week's show, I don't trust Dak Prescott. Like, he's a fine quarterback and all, but he's not worth that $40 million. Like, I don't know why you'd want to give that much money to a guy like that. And then you're going to ask him to keep pace with a guy who can do anything to any defense he wants, no matter who he has on the field, in Aaron Rodgers. The Packers have gone into Dallas in way, like, more, like, high pressure situations than a regular season game week 5. I think Green Bay's going to go in there and win it. As much as it pains me to say, I think once the Cowboys start playing these real teams, their true colors are going to show, and everyone's going to realize they're a good team, but they're not they're not that team. They're not the team that everyone wants them to be. Ooh, excuse me. Next up, we got the Sunday night game, Colts at Chiefs. Would be way more interesting if Andrew Luck had not surprisingly retired at the beginning of the year, but either way, you got Jacoby Brissett. The Colts, they're fighting. They're staying at 2-2. Pat Mahomes had a real slow start in Detroit last week, but I mean, weird factor. First game in a dome as a professional, playing against an actual like half decent defense in the Lions. They're just so overlooked because they are in such a tough division. If you put the Lions in like the AFC East, like they're a wild card team in the AFC, but they are just swarmed up by the Bears, the Vikings, even with the inconsistencies, and the Packers. Like, it's really hard to escape that and make an identity for yourself when you're playing catch up in your own division constantly. But I still think the Chiefs get it done. Mahomes is on pace to break his records from last year. Let's see if he can keep it up. I'm not doubting that guy anymore. He's just something else. Then we got our Monday night game, the 3-0 49ers against the 2-2 Browns.
Not a bad Monday night matchup.
No, it's not. And it's like, if you look at this before the season, you're probably thinking, I mean, who knows what the Niners are? That's such a big question mark. Like, no one knew about Jimmy Garoppolo. No one knew how that defense is actually going to turn out, even with all these, stud pass rushers that they've been getting. But they went from a historically bad defense in terms of turnovers from last year to they've already surpassed the turnovers they had in a full season within their 3 games. That's such a big turnaround. I mean, I knew the Niners were going to have that big question mark, but I kind of trusted John Lynch in building that team, and I think they're going to be just fine. That defense is young. They can make a lot of plays. And then you got the Browns are coming in. They just got to win. Baker maybe has that. He's got that moxie back. This is going to be a really fun Monday night game to watch. I'm really looking forward to it. It's kind of one of those coin flip games for me. But, I mean, what have these Niners done in prime time? They haven't really proved anything yet. They've always been that question mark team ever since they traded for Jimmy. Jimmy can win games, but is he healthy? Is the rest of the team going to be fine? I mean, I think these Browns are going to start picking it up. I could see the Browns going in there. That's probably like the riskiest pick, I feel like, in my opinion, that I'm making this week is I think the Browns are going to go into Santa Clara and they're going to get a W against the Niners. That's, I mean, we got a lot of coin flip games this week, and that's probably the closest thing I'm going to have to a hot take for, a game pick this week is that. Anyway, that kind of wraps up our Week 5 NFL preview. It's going to be a really fun week, just like every other week in the league. And then we're going to leap right into these two wildcard games that we had going on for the baseball postseason. So we had the Brewers and the Nationals, and what a game if you're a Nationals fan. Even if you're a Brewers fan, you're obviously devastated, but
Juan Soto.
how do you think he feels right now?
I think he's wondering if he's gonna stay on that team right now, and I know that sounds like a salty fan kind of thing, and I mean I'm not a Brewers, I'm a Twins fan, but uh, Juan Soto as an outfielder, as someone who played outfield all my life, you get on a knee and you field the ball. On a base hit to right field, no one should be scoring from first, even on a hit and run. No one should be scoring from first base. You try to feel it to the side of you as he did.
It's a routine play, and it ended up being the play that kind of flipped this game up on its head.
Right, and you feel that in front of you. Yeah, they're gonna tie the game regardless. You can get the next guy out, and you go and you keep playing, and if it goes to extras, who knows what happens? But you give your team a chance. No matter what, you give your team a chance, and he didn't do that. And I know that we're putting a microscope on one guy. I know you can't really blame Hader either. I mean, he had a bean that arguably hit the knob. Who knows if it
Brewers
hit the
fans are not
knob?
happy with him right now.
That is what I'm hearing too, but I think that's ridiculous. No pitcher is going to go out there and have a stellar outing every single time. It's just not human. He's still one of the best relief pitchers in the MLB,
And I'm
regardless
not
of
arguing that, but it's just like when you have a team like they do, how close they got last year, you expect guys like that. You expect those routine plays to be made, and you do expect your top relief pitcher to come in and do enough to get you out of there. Obviously, like you said, he's not going to do it every time, but from that fan base's perspective, like you just expect that to be made right there. You expect that out of those guys,
no,
and
you're absolutely right.
but I mean, shit, I really wanted to see a Brewers Dodgers rematch. That would have been really fun. I wanted to see the Brewers go deep into the playoffs. I wanted to see Yelich try to make a return and try to be the hero for that team. That would have been a phenomenal story. But
I mean, and with that, you can jump right into, as you said in the very first podcast, it was either the Monday show or the Friday show of last week, you said, ratings wise, a Brewers Dodgers rematch is going to get people wanting to
because
watch
people
it.
know what could happen because they've seen it before. These are two teams that match up well with each other, and they know it's going to be exciting. Put that on prime time. That's going to be one of the most watched baseball games of the season, and it's only the NLDS like that early in like that early in the playoffs. If you get ratings like that, and one of those two teams keeps moving forward, like that's a big deal. That's going to help out the playoff ratings for baseball a lot. Not saying they're low, but it's like you always want to keep you want to go up. You want to keep going up.
So now instead, you have the Nationals and the Dodgers, who have already played a game now.
I have so much less interest in this series now.
Well, what happened in that game one?
Well, that game one here, I got it right here for us.
It wasn't even a game, was it?
Let's see. Yeah, no, the Dodgers are leading this 1-0 right now, and you kind of start to think like the Nationals really snuck away with one right there against the Brewers because is this the right team? Is this the better team that's playing them? They squeaked one out against a better team. And I like the wild card system a lot, but I feel like you gotta give these teams a chance, even if it's not a best of seven series. If you give them a best of five, that's still gonna be you're still gonna get the better team out of that. But I see what Major League Baseball is doing with this is they want a higher stakes game so that they can try to get the best games possible out of these teams that barely make the cut. And I mean, unfortunately, in my opinion, and I would assume you're probably gonna agree with me here, the wrong team is playing the Dodgers right now.
I definitely agree.
But yeah, tonight it's Kershaw and Strasburg. So,
Should be. It really should be a great matchup.
and the thing is, it's like that one matchup. Like, I'm not against that at all, but I just feel like the Dodgers, even with that just that starting rotation, I feel like you got more household names. You have a stronger starting rotation, and I mean, I'm not saying they're going to sweep the Nationals, because I mean, I think this is the Nationals' best chance. They got Strasburg in there tonight,
But against Kershaw.
but you're playing Kershaw. I mean, I still think the Brewers should have been in this one. It would have been a way better series. I'm not going to say they're going to sweep, but
What do you think? They got it in 4 games then?
you
Because
know,
I
my
would
my
say
my gut's telling me 4 games, but since it's the playoffs and since the stakes are so high, I could see the Nationals squeezing one out. I could see this going to 5 games
no,
maybe.
that's what I'm saying. 4 games because it's best of 3. It's first to win 3.
Yeah, see, so much. All right, so yeah, best of three. Yeah, kind of changed my opinion on this a little bit. Yeah, no, I could. I think the Dodgers could win 3 straight. I think Kershaw is gonna just be lights out tonight. He's gonna do what Kershaw does. They're gonna be up. They're gonna be up 2-0 on them, and then that's gonna put the Nationals in a really tough spot in their game three on the sixth. And you never know. A team with their backs against the wall, they could fight back. They could squeeze one out. But I'm not gonna bet against those Dodgers. There's not a chance. I could see them sweeping that one. And then we had the A's and the Rays in the AL wild card.
Not even worth our time to talk about.
Not even worth our time. All right, well, we'll just run through it then. Uh, Rays win 5-1. Better team won, in my opinion. Like I said, I got a soft spot for these Tampa Bay teams, and you know, if the Twins, if the Yankees are still the kryptonite for the Twins, I'm gonna be rooting for the Rays the rest of this postseason. And I think it'd be a really cool story to see a team like that go, because they were talking about moving the team out of Tampa because they couldn't get as
To Canada.
yeah they couldn't get like attendance to go up because their stadium for baseball is just an absolute travesty. Like it's not good. But I saw this over in the off season. They're getting this gorgeous stadium. I don't know if it's still in St. Petersburg or if it's in Tampa, but that's getting a little energy down there in Tampa. They're gonna have that new stadium. Like
A little playoff push here at the end of the season. A little playoff push. A new stadium. That could really re-energize a franchise.
yeah, no, exciting time to be a Rays fan. Hopefully they can make a deep playoff run and keep this going. But now they're playing the Astros.
Toughest, toughest pitching rotation in all of baseball right now, by far.
I think I think the Astros are pretty much the almost unanimous favorite to take it this year, and I don't see why you would bet against them. I mean, it just seems like every single level of the team that they have is so consistent or just way above whoever else they play that it's really hard to bet against them. I mean, Zach Greinke is like not even their ace. Like you remember,
He's like their number 3.
yeah, I was gonna say he's like maybe they're two, but for sure at least a solid three on a team like that. But I mean, yeah, Verlander got the win last night, or no, that was today. 6-2. Astros won that game one. Let's see. I actually want to check out these stats because this is a pretty recent ending here. I want to see what we have here. Here we go. Man, first thing that pops up is Justin Verlander does 7 scoreless, allows only 1 hit, and he has 8 strikeouts. If you can get that out of your starting pitcher, you're gonna. And the thing is, he's obviously their best pitcher, but you have other guys they can look to in these playoffs, and it's gonna be really hard to stop a team like that.
So who you got in this series? Astros?
I'm gonna take the Astros. Like I said, I have a soft spot for Tampa Bay teams, but I want the Rays to win. But my conscience is saying, just give up. It's These Astros are so good. There's no way they're gonna lose in their first round of the playoffs. They're clearly the better team. And then tonight is the first Twins and Yankees game. We got
Let's go Twins!
Let's go Twins. I would love to see the Twins maybe pull one off tonight. And this
The
is
most prolific home run hitting team ever.
and there's and I was listening to the 92.1 K fan today, and they were talking about them being the most prolific home run hitting team in history. But there might be an asterisk next to that because they changed up something in the baseballs this year. So they're saying it's juiced up baseballs. But my counter argument to that is, well, you think the team that set the record last year would just obliterate it. They're in second place. I think even with the regular baseballs, these Twins are still the most prolific home run hitting team in history. Because I think they handily got that record for the most part. You could argue that, but you know what?
The Yankees were. Here's the worst part about the series, is Twins are they broke the record, the most prolific home run hitting team in all of baseball. Yankees have one less home run on the season. One less. The Twins got first. That's great, but the team you're playing only has one less home run than you do.
And they're going and they're going against a bullpen that is just asking to keep giving up more.
So I think Chase, that the first 2 series that you picked were pretty easy choices in the Dodgers and the Astros. But who do you have in this series? This is probably one of those series that could really go either way, because historically the Yankees have had the Twins number. 04, 05, and 2010, even in the wild card game a couple years ago. However, it's not the same Yankees team. You don't have Rodriguez. You don't have Jeter. Those players aren't there anymore. The Teixeira. No, those guys are not there. This is a completely new Yankees team, and the Twins don't have Maurer. They don't have Morneau like they did back then. This is a completely new Twins team. These are 2 completely different ball clubs. So does history repeat itself, or is it time for the Twins to write a new chapter? Who you got in this one? That's what I'm curious is, who do you have in this series?
I think this first game is going to be a very big factor in how the series plays out, because if Barrios shows up tonight and he is just flawless, that gives energy to the team and to the fan base, like in every other sport, as I've been mentioning throughout the show. And if you get that confidence from that number 1 ace starting pitcher that we have, with how young he is, if he can keep the Yankees down, under 2 or 3 runs, and then the bullpen can just maybe close one out.
Taylor Rogers.
Just can maybe close one out. No matter what, these Twins are gonna put up. They're gonna put up runs. Like, this is the one time where you can say, all you have to do is just stop them enough to give the Twins offense a chance. I think they're gonna pull it off tonight. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be bullish. I'm putting my heart on the line for our fucking Twins tonight, and I think they can pull one out. For the rest of the series, this is just one of those ones where I kind of want to see how it plays out, but my heart's telling me don't trust these guys. Yankees are the kryptonite, but you made some very good points with the Yankees, like, not being the same Yankees, but these are also not the same Twins. And who's that going to benefit? That's the big question here. Not the same Yankees, not the same Twins. Which one outweighs the other? That's why I'm so conflicted. But you know what? I'm going to be real bullish on the Twins here. I think they're going to win this series. Most prolific home run hitting team in baseball history. I don't think you stop after one round. They have to advance to another round. And I think they're going to shock everybody and beat these Yankees. I really want to see it. Bears going to get the win tonight, put some energy in that team, and they're just going to keep going. And once they go home for Game 3 and Game 4, which Game 4 is very much pending, but I think there will be a Game 4. I don't think it's going to be one team blows out the other. I think it's going to be a close series.
Last series, Cardinals Braves.
Yeah, they were still playing as we started this podcast. So looks like here I'm
That's
just gonna,
already game two of the series.
yeah these baseball playoffs go by so fast, man. It's crazy. It's top of the fourth right now. It's 1-0 Braves.
Cardinals won yesterday.
Cardinals won yesterday. They're up 1-0. I could see this being one of those series that takes it all the way to 5 games. It's just it's just kind of a toss up. I like the Cardinals pitching staff a little bit more, but I think the Braves are one of those underdog teams that came in. They're young, they're hot. I think they're going to squeeze one series win out here and advance to the next round. And then I think that pretty much just wraps it up for baseball up until our next show. So I mean that's gonna be really fun to keep track of.
And only, I mean, it's only what, a couple days until
It
our next show, but there's already gonna be so much MLB stuff to talk about. Twins Yankees series will already be on game three will be over by that day, by that time, because we'll be recording late on a Monday, and some of the series might be done already.
and that's the thing I really like about doing these Friday shows and these Monday shows because you're so close to everything. You're within a couple of days. Everything's still fresh, whether it's previewing, getting close to the game, or whether it's the almost immediate reactions to these games to give yourself a little bit of time to kind of analyze things. It makes it really fun, and that's why I really like how we do the scheduling here. So, now we're on to hockey.
Well, what I can say about hockey is every team's played a game so far, except for a small handful of them who are going to be playing later today. Um,
Yeah, except the first 2 days of the season, so they kind of split it up somewhat.
Today's day three, so yeah, not a lot of notables. Rangers over Jets, probably. That's one that not a lot of people expected.
No, especially you being the diehard Jets fan that you are. And I saw that score and I thought, I gotta deal with producer Bo's crabby ass now, don't I?
Notable wins. Definitely Capitals Blues.
Sabres beat the Penguins 3-1. I think that's kind of a shocker. Sabres are a young team, but you really expect them to take the Penguins off in the first game of the year? Obviously, long season. You can't make too much of it. It's hockey. And we were talking before the show, it is the hardest sport to predict. It really is. The puck can bounce so many different ways, and that's why the Stanley Cup playoffs are the best in sports because you just never know. Anyone could have predicted the Rams Patriots last year in the Super Bowl. Who would have said the Blues are going to win the Stanley Cup last year? Not a whole lot of people. Ooh, Lightning beat the Panthers 5-2. Are they going to keep it up through the regular season? Probably. But you know what? I think most people who follow the Lightning don't really care how the regular season goes because, they're going to put up those numbers. They're going to win all those games. They're going to look really good on paper.
I
But
guess just because the season's so young, we don't gotta go into the whole next week just because there are so many games. But in your opinion, through these first 2-3 days, have there been any games that have been a huge surprise to you, or do you see any teams from their first showing that you think could really be a big factor this year?
none that say that like in terms of like a team surprising me and kind of coming out of nowhere and doing something, no, I think it's way too early in the season to say anything about that. I mean, like I said, Lightning, they're doing what they do. They're 1-0. They won a game 5-2. Uh, I think the only real like actual shocking surprise when I looked at the score was that Sabres Penguins game. That's really about it. But
Rangers Jets. Rangers were pretty poor last year.
yeah, I mean, you're a big Jets guy though. That hits you a little bit harder to home. But yeah, the Jets are a very good team. I think this. I don't think any of these first games are gonna be too much of a concern for any team. I mean, Wild lost 5-2 against the Predators,
Smashville.
but what did I expect? What do you expect? You expect them to just disappoint you every single year.
They're a Minnesota team.
They're a Minnesota team. They are bred to force us to suffer. That's that. We accept it. We're bred into it. We cannot avoid it. Oh man. Then upcoming tonight, we got a few games. We have the Jets and the Devils. How do you think your Jets are going to do tonight?
I think they definitely bounced back. Yeah, they did lose against the Rangers, and that was hard to see. Hellebuck played terrible in the net. But, however, a lot of good things happened. Blake Wheeler scored 2 goals, and both of them coming within 30 seconds of the Rangers taking the lead. 2 times the Rangers took the lead, and one time was 9 seconds after they took the lead, and he was just like, no, I'm not going to play from behind. And Shifley gets a goal, Connor gets a goal on a nice deflection. A lot of good things seen from the Jets. I think they do win, just as Jaden said in the Monday show. I think that they'll be just fine. Like you said, it's too early in the season to like really get angry over small losses like this.
And it's such a long season. You can't. That's what I love about hockey. You just cannot overreact in this sport. It's really great. You just gotta watch how it plays out. Caps play the Islanders. Islanders have not played a game yet this year. They're one of those few handfuls of teams that have not actually played a game yet. That should be interesting. Caps. All right. And then we got Maple Leafs Blue Jackets. They have not played a game. The Blue Jackets have not. Got the 1-0 Knights playing the Sharks. And then Flyers beat the Blackhawks earlier today, so that's good news as a Wild fan. Makes you feel a little bit better. Anyway, that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for our hockey segment today, and we are gonna move on to the very prestigious Big Ten football conference. We are going to preview. Oh man, first one that really stands out to me. There's two that really stand out to me, but one that I'm a little bit more interested in because I think it's a little bit better of a matchup is going to be that Iowa Michigan game. Iowa's 4-0, they're ranked 14th. Michigan's 3-1 after falling to Wisconsin, and I don't mean just falling to Wisconsin. They got manhandled. That's the one pick that I remember that was such an easy decision, and I never doubted it for a second, and the Badgers proved me right. Michigan's not that strong of a team. They got a lot of big names. They're a lot of drama. They're just, whatever storylines you can make out of college football, that's what Michigan is. I think Iowa's going to win this game. I just love the way they play football. They're gritty. They just pound the rock on you, and they have the players to do that. They really believe in their system, and they're going to get it done. Maryland Rutgers, the two ass cracks of the Big Ten Conference for football. Two teams that I said shouldn't even be in the conference. Who do I even pick here? I don't even know because these guys are just, they don't deserve to be in the conference. They're both transfer schools within the last, half decade. They're not really worth anything. It's just money. I'm gonna give it to Maryland. They seem like a better team at this point, but it's it's not really relevant to what's they're not going to neither of these teams are going to shape what happens in the Big 10 conference this year. So, it's pretty irrelevant. Penn State playing Purdue. Purdue's 1-3. They lost to our Gophers, but
which says a lot too. Um,
what was it, like a 38-31?
It was 38-31. Penn State is undefeated still, correct?
Yep, they're 4-0. They are ranked 12th in the country right now. They are favored by they are a 28.5 point favorite.
And I'm a Gophers fan, so I don't mean to crap on the Gophers here, but the Gophers against the three non-conference teams looked awful. I mean, they could have been 0-3 going into that.
Very easily. They're on thin ice when it comes to teams who are 4-0 right now. They should be thankful to be at this point. At this point in the season, they they should be 6-0. Within the next couple weeks.
I think you're 100% right. So I think that just really gives this game to Penn State. I think that Penn State's gonna win this game over Purdue, just because if you can't beat a really poor Gophers team in being Purdue, you're not gonna be able to take on the 12th best team in the country.
No, and like I said, Penn State is one of those teams that's going to determine how this conference shapes up, and they're going to have a big factor in if and who makes the college football playoff from this conference, because I think no matter how the AP polls rank anything, if you don't have a Big Ten team in the college football playoff, I think it's a waste of a playoff. You're not actually getting the best team. You're you're leaving out a big, chunk of a lot of the talent in this country and the coaching. And Penn State's going to play a big role in that. Will they make the college football playoff? Probably not. But I think they are going to have a big role in deciding who gets to go from this conference. They are not a team to mess around with. Next game. I don't know if I made it clear that Penn State's going to win that game or not, but I'm picking Penn State. Next up, we got Minnesota and Illinois.
How can you not go with the Gophers at a time?
Illinois is so bad.
Right.
They're so bad. They're 2-2, but they're so bad. I'm gonna pick the Gophers. I said they were gonna be 6-0. Well, they're only at 4-0. So guess what? I think they're gonna be 5-0. That's my pick. Gophers are gonna win that. Northwestern and Nebraska. I gotta go with the Huskers on this one.
I disagree with you, Chase. Northwestern looked way better than they should have against Wisconsin, and with a backup quarterback.
They did. I'm gonna give them credit. Jonathan Taylor he did put up stats in that game. So you look at the box score at the end of the game, you're thinking, oh, Jonathan Taylor did Jonathan Taylor things, but around 120 yards. That's a good game for running back. Not the greatest for Jonathan Taylor, but the one thing Northwestern did is they kept him from making those big plays in the game. He didn't have one of those, 40, 50, 60, 70-yard touchdown runs. I think his longest run was maybe 19 or 20 yards. They kept him in check, and I do respect Northwestern for that, but I think Nebraska's going to come out with this one. That's probably the biggest thing to a countdown game that we have. The Big Ten matchups don't really seem that close, excuse me. And then we got one more really interesting one. Primetime game. We got Ohio State, which is ranked 4th in the country, coming in at 5-0 against Michigan State, who just squeaks into the top 25 rankings at number 25.
Also undefeated?
Nope, they are 4-1, but Ohio State, with all that talent that they have, Justin Fields, you gotta go Ohio State on this one. That team is on a mission. They have a lot to prove, and no matter who's coaching them or who they have playing quarterback for them, granted, it's a very, very talented quarterback in Justin Fields. They have a very good backfield with Dobbins. Just talent all the way around. That team's always going to be in that top 5 conversation. They're number 4 right now. They're going to come out with a win. They're going to make a big statement and make their case for being a team worthy of the college football playoff later in the year. Anyway, that's my picks for college football this week. And I think that pretty much
Wisconsin not playing this week?
Wisconsin. Oh, wait a minute. Good thing you caught me. It was off on the side here. Because I don't know why. They play an out of conference game, so that's why I was kind of pushed off to the side. But they play Kent State. Wisconsin's going to win that one. I don't need to go into too much detail about that one. I've said repeatedly how I feel about that team. They got. I'm not saying he's the most talented quarterback in the Big Ten, but he is one of. He's the probably not saying he's the best, but he is probably the most talented quarterback that they have had since Russell Wilson. Not saying he's going to play up to that level because that's a whole nother tier of playing quarterback at that level of college football. But they just have the team to do it. They have the defense. They have the running game. They have the coaching staff. Easy win for Wisconsin against Kent State. They're going to go 5-0, and maybe something falls apart in the other conferences and they can squeak into the top five. Who knows? They're ranked 8th in the country. I'm just.
And before you sign off, Chase, can you go over the teams that are still undefeated in the Big Ten and which ones you feel like have a chance of staying undefeated, what ones you think will not stay undefeated, what ones you think have a chance at making the college football playoff? As you said, you felt like Wisconsin could. Also, you mentioned Ohio State, possibly even Penn State. I mean, if you could go over that, I think that'd be something super interesting. I'm excited to hear. I'm sure the viewers would as well.
Very true. All right, so far we have Iowa, Wisconsin, Penn State, Minnesota, and Ohio State. Well, I think the easy one to knock off right away is Minnesota. They're going to play a real team eventually throughout the season. They're going to lose. I'm not counting on them even being ranked this year. They might be able to sneak in within these next couple of weeks, but I really doubt it. Um, Iowa's a real interesting one. And I think this game against Michigan, if they squeak one out against Michigan, I'm not going to feel as confident. If they absolutely go into the big house and just beat the fucking snot out of Michigan, like I feel like they should, they're built to do it, to do that to a team like Michigan, then I'm going to say they can keep going as far as they want into the season undefeated. But I think with how strong the Big Ten is, I don't think they're going to be able to do it all throughout conference play. I think Ohio State is probably going to stay undefeated, and my matchup is Wisconsin Ohio State. I think that's gonna.
When do they play?
That's one thing I don't know. Here, I will double check on that, but that's that's one game I really want to see is Wisconsin versus Ohio State because I mean, this far into the season, with what we've had to look at, I would say those are the two clear-cut best teams in the Big Ten Conference for football. You can make an argument for maybe Penn State, but they got to play Ohio State to get into that game against Wisconsin. Wisconsin doesn't have that tough of a road to the championship. It's basically who's going to play the Badgers in the Big Ten championship unless the Badgers somehow fuck all this up. That's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. So they actually play later this month on the 26th. It's Wisconsin at Ohio State. And I really hope they're both undefeated going into that game because that's going to be a really, really awesome game to watch. And I suggest if you're a college football fan of any sort, whether it's Big Ten or whatever conference you want to watch, that is going to be something that's going to kind of shape the rest of the season and especially the playoffs. But yeah, I think we pretty much touched on everything that we wanted to with our Big Ten preview, which I'm so excited for that college football is back. I'm excited football is back in general, as you can tell. But that wraps up for today for our October 4th episode. I turned 22 today. Big day here. And I'm excited that I got to spend it making an episode doing what I love. And hopefully we can keep this thing rolling. Special shout out to my close friend and very amazing producer, Bowden, back there rocking the Vikings sweatshirt, which I really appreciate.
Thank you, Chase.
All right. Well, that concludes it for today. Thanks for tuning in.
See you on Monday.
See you on Monday.